Hey everybody, I want to come and give you an update on the Hallicrafters radio that we're working on, and show you a couple things here. So what you're looking at is the back of the cabinet, and you'll see here that I've stripped off all the paint, and I'll show you what I use to do that in a moment. But there's one thing I want to point out to you which is important. So if you look at this, after stripping off the paint, I think that should be focused. You'll see that there's a bunch of lines in here, and when I did a larger portion of this, I'll show you in a second, it was everywhere, and I thought maybe it was, you know, some kind of overspray or something, but it turns out that it's rust. So I stripped the entire top of the cabinet at this point, and this cabinet had those brown veins running through the whole thing. And what I did was I put navel jelly on here, and I had a couple of spots that I had to fix, but you'll notice that those brown lines are gone. So what's happened is, I guess as they coated this thing or plated it, whatever they did, those lines that I see are just areas where rust started to form. So I had to put navel jelly on top of this whole thing, and this is, at this point, the top is done. Obviously I'm still working on the insides here and that kind of thing, but that was important to recognize that, you know, there is rust growing under here. If you look on this area here, I've stripped a little bit away here, and you can see that there's a couple of little spots, but it's mostly prevalent right here, where it almost looks like a marble veining kind of thing here. But if I put navel jelly on here, that'll all go away. So that's going well. The stripping is pretty easy. I've also done a test on the actual front of the cabinet. This thing has a couple of parts, and it's nice and clean underneath here. I didn't have to use any navel jelly, so there's not much rust going on here. And this came off pretty easy. So let me show you what I'm using to do the removal. I'm using something called Easy Strip, and it's working really, really well. It doesn't have any odor, and it's safe, especially with pets and things, and it doesn't burn, it doesn't have the caustic smell. And you put it on, I'd say leave it on for about half an hour, 45 minutes on this thing, and it just peels right off. So this stuff works a lot better than traditional paint remover. So I would suggest that if you're going to strip something, this does a great job, and it's like a gel. So it goes on and it stays on. You just have to make sure you shake it before you use it. So that's what's going on with the cabinet. Let me show you where I am with the chassis, and we'll take it from there. Be right back. Okay, here's the chassis, and you'll see that I've made some really good progress with cleaning this thing. This whole area is clean. The only area I haven't gotten is right in here, and I'm working on that next. But everything is shining up pretty nicely. I haven't shined up the top of these cans yet, and I'm still working on that. I did have to order new toggle switches, and let me see if I can flip this up and show you why. I don't want that speaker to go flopping around. So if you look at these toggle switches, they're pretty grungy, but they don't make immediate contact. Watch what happens when I flip them. You hear a second click. Sometimes. So they're worn, they're old. They just don't feel like they're solid. So there's 4 of them here, 1, 2, 3, and there's one over here on this side that you can't see, right there. So we're going to replace those things. They're easy to replace, and these are the old ones that are made with wood, and chances are they're probably not in good shape anyway. So we're going to replace those. So I've got those coming. They'll be here tomorrow. And then the speaker definitely needs some work as well. The cone, I'm going to have to put some liquid tape on it. And I noticed that I have an errant wire right here, which looks like it came off of somewhere. This would be my guess, this terminal right here. So that'll be easy to fix. Just got to solder that back on. And I don't know if you could see this. Let me see if I can zoom a little bit in here. You see right here, the cone is just a little chewed up, and especially right down in here. So we're gonna fix that up. There, you can get a better look at it right there. So we're going to fix that up with some liquid tape. That'll work just fine. And after I get those toggle switches replaced and get the rest of this thing cleaned up, first thing we're going to do is we're going to put some tubes in here and see if it works. Don't even know if this thing works. And then we're going to, of course on the Variac, and then we're going to go underneath and replace all the caps. Haven't done any of that stuff yet, so I'm working on most of the cosmetic work outside the cabinet right now. So, so that's where we are. Those of you that helped me with the plugs on the back, if you recall, right here, this is the, I learned that this is the DC plug, so if you wanted to operate this thing with a battery, you would pull this out and plug in your battery pack. So that I learned. And the plug back here is for an S meter, right there. And I've learned that from you folks, so thank you for that. And of course the antenna connection right here will work out just fine for me, so I'll leave it as a bayonet, BNC. That's going to work great. So all we really need to do now is just clean all this grunge up. If you look in there, it's still pretty mangy. And there's some rust, that kind of thing. You'll notice that this radio has all the tube sockets marked with the tube type, which is good. Those are the 6 SK7s, so that's always good news. And what I'm trying to figure out here is the top of these cans. It looks like somebody may have been messing with them at some point. I don't know. These things are rusty. So I'm going to have to figure out what I want to do with that. I'm not going to mess with them, obviously. But if I have to do an alignment, I got to do what I got to do. But we'll figure that out later. We got plenty of time for that. So I'm just pulling the shot back here. So that's pretty much where we are in this thing and getting this thing in a better spot. The only thing I didn't do yet is test the electrolytics. I got to check my inventory and see if I have one of these cans. I believe this is a 30-10-10 at 450 volts. So pretty common sizes. So as I said, I think I want to restuff this, unless I have a new can. We'll see. That'll come in a future episode. So that's where we are, folks, with this radio. We're going to continue the cleaning process, and we're going to continue stripping the cabinet. And then I did get a suggestion that I use a zinc-based primer, which I'm going to do, because I think that makes a lot of sense. And quite honestly, I'm not sure if I'm going to use that paint that I bought. So, you know, it's basically house paint. And I'm not so sure how durable that would be on a radio like this, unless I put, you know, a bunch of clear coat on it. So I'm going to see if I can find something a little bit more standard that maybe has a built-in gloss to it. I don't know yet. I've got to think through that one. So we'll see. But that's the plan. So if the color doesn't match exactly, big deal. Who's gonna know? So that's the decision I have to make, and I'll decide that by the weekend. So in the meantime, for those of you that celebrate Thanksgiving, hope everybody has a great, excuse me, great holiday, and we'll see you guys on the weekend. Take care.